All right, I'm live. I'm a few minutes early. I'm Josh Matthews, Learning About Movies channel. This is June 2022. We're going to talk about what's leaving Criterion Channel, what you can watch on streaming, great movies, etc. Lots of recommendations. I'll wait for everybody to get on in here. But first, those of you watching on playback, let me get this up. Here's my newsletter. Subscribe to it. You get all my YouTube videos. I actually do a little write-up there occasionally, and I sometimes put extra content. But subscribe to my newsletter. The link is in the description below for all of my videos. You've got my letterboxd with a D account. Please follow me. I'll check you out. I might follow some of you. And it's quite a bit of fun to write on there, just my ad hoc 15-minute reviews or write-ups or something. And you'll see what I'm watching lately, and you can get recommendations and follow other people. I love the site. It's a lot of fun. More about that in a minute. And so then you can see my film diary there, what I've been watching in the last month or so. I think I've watched a lot of movies. This is more than normal, probably. So yeah, this is we're going to talk about what's coming out this month. I can show you that. What is coming out in June 2022 in the movie theaters? This is a list of, I think, American or North American, maybe United States box office movies coming out. The bolded ones are the ones that are coming out in wide release. So I'll talk about that in a minute. Let me make sure everything's working over here. Hello, everybody. Oh, yeah, and if you have questions about anything, chat. I'll look at the chat later on. I'm happy to interact with you. I wonder, do you want to talk about the Johnny Depp trial or not? I watched an inordinate amount of it. I watched far too much of it. It was very convenient. I was editing my videos, which doesn't take a lot of brain power, so I could just sit and listen to it, which was kind of ridiculous, but it was kind of compelling. It was good theater. It was a serious event for the people involved. Good theater. If you want to talk about Johnny Depp, great. If not, I don't care. First, though, here's what I'm up to. I'm watching. I decided to go through the westerns, as many as I could, and try to make videos on it eventually. I'm a researcher, and I'm kind of a completist, so I go through as many as I can, and I don't fake it. So I'm legitimately watching hundreds of westerns. And I haven't watched this movie since about 1995. And I'm not sure I've even seen anything but the TV edited version. So I ended up getting this, which I'm not into collecting discs or anything, but this I don't know if you can tell, this is tin, or some kind of metal box, which was interesting, and it came and said only 10,000 of these made. Now, I do not know if this is still a good movie. This is one of my interesting questions, is the movies from my childhood. This one won Dances with Wolves, Kevin Costner, won Best Picture in 1998, 99. Big movie. 3 hours long. Is this still good? Or was it only of its time? I am legitimately curious. I'll probably watch it this week or next week. And so again, you go to my Letterboxd account, you'll see my write-up on it, and we'll see what I decide or what I like about it, etc. So I'm watching a bunch of these westerns, and there's Tarantino, who I probably should watch. I watched the Leone western, so this one should come later probably, right? But this one, I'm making a video on this. This is a Leone. Sergio Leone, after he made The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, after he made Once Upon a Time in the West. And I discovered not a lot of people know about this movie. It's actually called, you cannot see it here. I don't think, I got a glare there, Duck, You Sucker. So if you're going to search for it on the internet, Duck, You Sucker, although my Blu-ray says A Fistful of Dynamite. Now, if you like Leone, The Man with No Name trilogy, if you like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, you should watch this. This is really good. I thought. It's legitimately interesting. Rod Steiger, James Coburn, who's great. Just a great face for film. 1971. And not too many people know about this one. So that's what I found interesting, is going through the westerns, and so many of them are unknown. Speaking of Johnny Depp, I can't show you the cover because I've got interlibrary loan stuff on it, but The Dead Man by Jim Jarmusch. I have not seen this. Johnny Depp is in this. It's a pretty recent... No, it's 1995. Pretty recent Western. And so, again, going through that stuff, going to be kind of interesting. You let me know what you think there, but I will put out a video on Duck You Sucker. Which, when I say that out loud, it sounds like I'm saying something vulgar, which I think is the point. Duck You Sucker. they couldn't make what they wanted to say in the title there. So anyway, yeah. To review, newsletter, Letterboxd. Here's what I want to get into, what's coming out in June. Criterion Channel. I'll show that in a minute, but this is coming out in theaters. I legitimately don't know about most of these movies. This is the David Cronenberg movie that's gotten a lot of marketing because it's supposedly disgusting, making people throw up at some kind of film festival in Europe. Who knows if it's any good. Cronenberg's pretty old by now. I think he's in his 70s. And Viggo Mortensen is in it. I don't know if it's coming to near you, but it's definitely not coming near me. I mean, this looks like art house. That's not a pejorative. Art house meaning it's only showing up in major cities. So I don't live near one. I'd have to drive a long way to go there. The only thing I see that maybe, I don't even know if any of this is of interest. Pixar's Lightyear. Tim Allen is not voicing Buzz Lightyear in this. The trailer does not look good to me. Now, I don't give much attention to trailers, so I'm not sure though. Pixar is now putting their own studio in the title of these movies. Okay, as if that's going to bolster things, but the quality hasn't been there in the last several years. It's hit or miss. I don't know, and they are just, again, here's a retread. I've complained about the retreads. Top Gun Maverick, for example. We'll get into that maybe in a minute. But Pixar's Lightyear, all this movie is showing up in my theaters. The trailers playing in front of every movie. Baz Luhrmann. Tom Hanks does not look good in a fat suit in it. Other than that, I don't know, and I legitimately have never in my life understood the Elvis Presley phenomenon. Never. I'm Gen X in America. I do not get it. I listen to the music, and I like blues, I like rock, I like jazz fusion, and the list goes on. I love 20th century music to death, but I don't get the Elvis phenomenon. It looks like it's going to go through his whole life, and maybe it will be of interest. It will definitely be a flashy movie. Baz Luhrmann. Other than that, I'm not sure. I think this is a horror movie with Ethan Hawke, Black Phone. Do you see anything here any good? I mean, it looks like a bad month for Hollywood. So I'm hoping something else comes out from some other country on the internet streaming so I can enjoy it. Because this does not look like a good month. The 6th or 8th or 28th Jurassic Park movie. What can you say? Then the only thing appealing about this to me is that the monsters now are all over the world. So you got a post-apocalyptic movie. They had been confined, as far as I know, to the island. But I don't remember the last 3 or 4 or 5 of these things. So you'll have to remind me. I'm not putting it down. I really don't know about this one. All right. So anyway, that's that stuff. Now, if you're like me, Criterion Channel is where it's at. It's still the best, I think, streaming service. And for those of you in another country, you just get a VPN. As far as I know, you get a VPN, and then you can subscribe to it. I think. I think it's that easy. They are charging $99 a year, which to me, if you watch several movies or 2 or 3 movies a month, is a good deal. By the way, I do not get paid by them to promote them. I just like their service. And they're still charging me, who I am a, what do they call it? Founding subscriber? That's not quite the right word, but initial subscriber. I subscribed when they started their service. They're only still charging me $89, and they gave me like $20 a year off their store. Occasionally they give me $10 here, $10 there. I don't know if they do that to new subscribers. But what I like to do here, as many of you know, is I like to talk about what's leaving the channel, because that helps narrow down your options. There's so many options streaming-wise. And you may not see these elsewhere if they go away. If you're subscribing to the channel, they may not. Oh, I know. Well, there's one other thing I wanted to mention here. Let me get to this. I have to say this. I feel obligated. Last night, my wife says, "Can we watch Obi-Wan?" Now, I do not watch the Star Wars fare. I love the first 3 Star Wars movies, as many of you know. After that, I don't really care. And so the Mandalorian was okay. It was a TV Western. I thought some of it was quite good and some of it was but it was watchable. After that, I didn't watch the next one. Of course, all these shows are on Disney Plus, and they're making buku bucks off of it. I said yes to my wife's request to watch Obi-Wan. I have several kids at home. They wanted to watch it. The reason I watched it is because Ewan McGregor's in it. I thought, well, okay, I actually like him a lot. He's going to play an older version of himself from the prequel movies. He's going towards the Alec Guinness role in Star Wars. I'm interested in what he's got. And by the way, Star Wars Episode 4 is the gift that keeps on giving. I mean, that movie has generated so much stuff, and not just influenced other movies and other movie makers. It just keeps generating new material. So here we are in a world that's right before Star Wars Episode 4, a few years before. And I went into this thing and said, oh, they're going to show Luke Skywalker as a 10-year-old boy. And they do. I watched Episode 1. It is bad. I mean, Ewan McGregor is fine. And I'm just talking about the first episode. Very amateurish. Acting, very bad. I couldn't believe how the low quality here. It was as bad or worse than TV shows of my youth from the 1990s or even the 80s. I couldn't believe how bad that some of the acting. I'd have to take you through some of the sequences. There's a sequence in this, and by the way, some of you know. If you don't, one of my favorite shows, and still is ever, is Mystery Science Theater 3000. If you don't know what that is, go look it up. It's a show where they make fun of movies. You watch a terrible movie, and you watch them make fun of a movie, okay? So that's what my kids and I end up doing with this thing. There's a sequence where a little girl of 8 to 10 years old is outrunning grown men or aliens, shot after shot after shot. She's just outrunning them, and it's just an awful sequence. You have to see it to believe it. I'm hoping that this gets better. I doubt it. So I usually don't trash things on this channel. I try not to. It's not that much fun, but I really wanted to mention that. I just couldn't believe how... Ugh. Anyway, here is what's leaving Criterion Channel in June. Now, I admit my weaknesses. I haven't seen a lot of these movies. I have seen a lot of movies, but it's humbling how many movies there have been produced, and good to decent to good movies, and so many of these I haven't seen. Example, I have not seen Blue Velvet ever. I've read about it a lot. In graduate school, I had to read a few articles about this, but we didn't have to watch the movie. That was strange. I also haven't seen The Last Picture Show. So I have that. I think I'm going to watch that. I'll try to. I know that's a pretty famous movie. I wonder if it holds up. Okay. Now, when I scroll through this list, you'll see there's several like this where I feel like I should have seen it, but I haven't. And here's my... Actually, I should do this. Recommendations. I watched this movie, The Life and Times of Judge Roy Bean, fairly recently. And I think I've recommended this before elsewhere. It's a weird movie. I like the weirdness in it. Very memorable. Anthony Perkins shows up. Stacy Keach for 2 minutes. It's very memorable. Definitely influenced the Coen brothers. It's a concept movie of a kind. A Western, for sure. Paul Newman's in it. Very weird. And so I do recommend it. John Huston's the director. John Milius, who directed Conan the Barbarian, wrote the movie. Many of you know John Milius wrote Apocalypse Now. So... Actually, this isn't be an interesting movie to sort of play with Apocalypse Now and do the revisionist American history thing from Milius's screenplay perspective. So that one I'm suggesting to you. I'm going to scroll down and recommend 2 more very quickly. Alphaville is coming. I have a video on that coming out on my channel. It's one of my top 10 favorite science fiction movies by Jean-Luc Godard, 1965. Predates 2001: A Space Odyssey. Really interesting movie to me from a science fictional perspective. It actually, the Godardian weirdos, new wave sensibility works with science fiction. Science fiction is supposed to be wild and crazy. It says surrealist poetry in this description. I think a lot of people won't like this movie or will have a tough time with it. The first time I watched it, I was like, what is this? But you can see Blade Runner in this movie, or this movie influenced Blade Runner. You got a sort of mashup of a crime, noir stuff, detective fiction with science fiction. I'm interested to see if some of you like this movie, but again, in this month, June 2022, I'm putting out a video on this movie and arguing for it as one of his best movies, if not his best. I really like the movie. This Junet film, Delicatessen, is very strange. Those of you know him from Amelie. I like his style. I like weird stuff, usually. So this is a pretty good, at least quirky, interesting movie. I won't describe it further. You should go look it up. But yeah, it's pretty weird. One more I'm going to recommend, and this is a deep cut. Rare that I know deep cuts in Criterion's lists, but this one I know. Brother's Keeper. This is a documentary about 2 rural New Yorkers who are very strange, and it's captivating. It's a very complex legal case where one of them dies and the other one's accused of killing. They're twin brothers, I think, or they're brothers. One of the brothers dies, the other is accused of killing the brother. And right away you can tell it's a super complicated case because this other brother is accused of the crime he's got some problems. Are they mental problems? Are they lack of education? Is he just a wildly different sensibility? And the movie contrasts the small town, which believes that the brother is innocent, with the outside media that comes in and tries to make a big case of the murder and tries to portray these guys as idiot hicks. Really interesting movie. The reason I looked it up on. I'd seen it a long time ago, but if you look at the poster, maybe awards don't mean anything. Maybe they overrate things. But if you look at the box here, or the poster, winner, 4 stars. Ebert, I think, was high on this movie. It's really pretty good. Good music. Molly Mason and Jay Unger, if you don't know them, folk music. I recommend this very strongly. Try it out. If you like those kinds of issues, rural America versus the national media. Seriously, and this is from 1992. Quite an interesting movie if you like documentaries. So, more stuff from Criterion, by the way. They're clearly getting rid of John Ford. I think they have an early John Ford, the great American director, and they had a collection of him. They're clearly getting rid of that. And so a number of his movies, including this one, Young Mr. Lincoln, which is in the Criterion collection as an actual disc, is going away. I have yet to watch this Robert Altman movie, but I'm going to, The Buffalo Bill, as part of my Westerns project. Another early John Ford movie. I think this won Academy Awards, How Green Was My Valley. I think that's pretty good. It's been a long time since I've seen it. Looks like a few blaxploitation movies here. I mean, as I scroll through here, those of you in the comments, go ahead and say whatever you want about what you know here. But yeah, there's the John Ford stuff, blaxploitation. I know they had a blaxploitation 1970s collection. Some of those must be going away as well. Yeah, so that's about it for what's leaving Criterion Channel. It's just amazing. I go through this list and I think this is all I need. I don't need these other services. I'm wildly entertained by this stuff. I love to discover new stuff. It's great all around. I haven't seen Yentl. Oh, There's this other one. Have any of you seen this Paul Schrader movie? I have not. Light Sleeper. I really do like Paul Schrader as a writer and as a director. But should I try this or not? Willem Dafoe stars in this moody character study as a drug dealer who faces a midlife crisis. Now that his supplier wants a change of career. Okay. Sure, could be great, could be okay. I don't know. I did notice, by the way, a couple of Fritz Lang movies here. Leaving the channel. This one's based on a Graham Greene novel. Greene is one of my favorite novelists. I like the book. I didn't so much like the movie, but this is nice World War II era stuff if you appreciate that era. During the war itself, you might try it. I passed another one. There was another Fritz Lang movie. So if you're a Fritz Lang completist, and sometimes it's hard to find his movies. I just watched the movie M with Peter Lorre. I've seen it 2 or 3 times, and I'm going to do a video on it. But Fritz Lang obviously did that. I'm missing the other one. But anyway, yeah. So now you've got 5-10 recommendations for this month. Take them or leave them. I guarantee you'll like one of them. I'm not sure which one. Those of you who watch this channel probably have a sense of how my tastes align with yours. But, yeah. Okay, let me go to the chat now. This is kind of fun, obviously. And, again, do you want to talk about Johnny Depp? I need to justify my viewing of his... my viewing of his trial. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I see Evan Adams here. Yeah, I saw you on Letterboxd and watching Westerns, so that's nice. I'd be curious if you ever get to my Western. I have a Westerns list, which I'm keeping and updating on Letterboxd, and my own personal rankings of the great Westerns. Feel free to go comment on that. I'm interested in what you think, like the top 10 are, what you think is underrated, overrated, etc. Because, there's so many Westerns, and depending on your tastes, it's amazing how wide a variety there can be. I see someone here saying Peckinpah, Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid. Peckinpah's deep cuts are really interesting. Those of you know Sam Peckinpah, he made The Wild Bunch. Very famous Western, supposedly changed Westerns, made them more violent, gets rid of the anti-hero and goes right to making villains the heroes, or the villains the main characters, among other things. Very very showy Western as far as blood and gore and stuff like that. I like his other movies. His Ride the High Country is an early 60s movie that's very good in my opinion. Very watchable, at least. And I like his blockbuster that was kind of edited by the studio, Major Dundee, with Charlton Heston and Richard Harris. And then you get into his 70s movies, which aren't as well known. And yeah, that's one of them, Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid. Definitely a forerunner to that. Who's in that? Is it Brad Pitt? The assassination of Jesse James movie that comes out in 2007. And, there's a little bit of that. But, yeah, so go look at Peckinpah's list, because if you look at him, you go, he made a lot of movies, and most of them aren't even talked about. It's kind of like what I was saying in the opening. Where'd it go? Yeah, this Leone movie, which few people seem to know about, right? There's a lot of Peckinpah movies which people don't seem to know about, other than a couple. So I got to talk about those a little bit. Rio Bravo is your favorite Western? Yeah, good. That's good. Oh, there's so much good stuff here. Recommendations for good books, resources on movies from 70s. I don't know. I'd have to look at that specifically. Did that Truffaut Hitchcock movie or book come out in the 70s? I think you're looking for resources on the 1970s, though, and that I'd have to look at. Nothing comes to mind off the top of my head, but I'm sure there's a huge list out there of stuff. So I'm sorry about that. Iranian serial killer movie called Holy Spider coming out. I had a few people mention that in other comments and other... yeah. Okay, is this chase scene in Obi-Wan famous? Because I have no idea. Sometimes I don't pay attention to the internet. Is it like memed now? Because it really deserves that. It's really terrible. You have to see it to believe it. No one would put that on film and make it serious, but they did. Disney is pretty bad in some cases. Yeah. Is Ministry of Fear good? It's okay. I like the book a lot. It's one of those problems where if you like the book, you like the author, and then it's really good to you, and you read or you watch the movie, and then it's sort of lacking. It's one of those things. I think probably by itself, if you haven't watched the book, it's probably pretty good. Fritz Lang, I mean, right? So, yeah. I hate Alphaville and I hate Godard. Alphaville is a scary film, yeah. No, I know what you mean. Alphaville's the movie. There's a few movies like this, but I never tell people to do this. Watch it twice. Maybe the second time it will take or make sense. You kind of have to experience it, get it all in your head, and then you see it differently the second time. There are not a lot of movies like that, but I think Alphaville might be one of those. So, if you're going to hate Godard and you'll never watch another one of his movies, at least try that again and think about Blade Runner 2049, etc., in that context. Yeah. Don't watch Delicatessen while eating. Delicatessen, yes, it's post-apocalyptic, but they're eating people. Ugh. Typical and post-apocalyptic fare to talk about cannibalism. For obvious reasons, meat and food is scarce, etc. Yeah. Yeah. Hello, John Huang. Good to see you again. Is my favorite... So I get these questions. Is my favorite film of all time Rashomon? It's interesting, what are the favorites? I probably have a list of 50 favorites. So if you ask my favorite movie, I would rattle off 50 of them, right? It's... The thing about films they're kind of like short stories. They're really short chunks of a dream. And 2 hours is not very long to tell a story. So very few films are about a lot. Most films are about this particular slice of life. And so it's hard for me to pick a favorite because this one's doing this slice of life, this one's doing this slice of life, this one's this kind of dream, this one's this other kind of dream. Is it a cop-out to say I don't have an absolute favorite movie? Probably. If actually a gun to my head, I'd probably say The Thin Red Line. That's a movie that followed me around for 20 years, and every time I watch it, I have the same sorts of feelings and the same sorts of sense of wonder. I like the issues in that movie, The Thin Red Line. I think Rashomon is a movie about not just this slice of life, but this slice of life. It's a wide-ranging movie about a great number of topics. I think it's wonderful movie. I do know a lot of people don't like it, so what am I going to do? But yeah, I would put it in my top 10. I think I did put it in my top 10 videos, of which I have a top 10 video list. So do you really need to have an all-time favorite? Can you cop out and say, I really have 50 favorites, right? So you can go to my, as I said, my Letterboxd. In fact, let me show you something. Okay, so here's Letterboxd. Fix my screen. And Letterboxd asks all users to put a list of favorite films. I guess I really haven't thought about this too much. And in a way, it's showcasing something. Maybe it's like virtue signaling or movie signaling to put just 4. Which is very limited. The one I've never talked about on this channel, and I've not made videos on, but I absolutely love, is this trilogy, the Samurai Trilogy. probably not as beloved by others as by me. But the director Inagaki made 3 movies in the 1950s starring Toshiro Mifune, probably my favorite actor, or one of my favorite actors, Toshiro Mifune. And he made a movie about the very famous Japanese historical personage, Musashi Miyamoto. Who, I can't remember 17th century, yeah. And I really love everything about these movies. I know parts of them are slow, but if you see them all as a piece, 3 movies, Samurai 1, 2, and 3, Inagaki's also got a very painterly eye. A lot of shots are just absolutely gorgeous. Like, shot after shot looks like a painting. And so I really love this series. I've always have for probably 20 years, ever since I've seen it. Is it really legitimately great? Or is it just me and my sensibility, right? But I would say this is one of my favorites, and I have to count it as a trilogy. So check that out if you're interested in samurai fare, but very thoughtful hero's journey thing. And thinking about Miyamoto, who's an attractive figure to me personally. But then these other ones, I've got a Kieslowski movie here. I'm not ever sure which one to put, but The Double Life, I've never talked about that on this channel. I should. And then these other 2 I have, but there's a whole panoply of favorite films. And of course, if you go to my list, just so you know, I know some of you know this, I've got lists up here, and I have my favorite movies, not actually in much of an order. I have not ordered them recently at all, but there you go. And yeah, I just see Rashomon's in a number 1 position, so that's probably why you're asking. But you can go here to get recommendations, some of which you'll like. Usually when you deal with a critic or someone out on the internet, you're not going to agree with it, like half of what they say. I think that's true of everybody. It's hard to agree with half of what people say is great. But 50% rate is pretty high, actually. So, wait, you're saying Mishima is fantastic? Oh, yeah. I'm reading the comments again. No, there's... So, Mishima is fantastic. The chase scene is all over many memes. Okay. I'm not a novel thinker, apparently. The chase scene in Obi-Wan. There is a shot of a character hitting a branch. Running into a branch. And it is probably one of the worst acting moments I've seen. I'm sorry for this actor. Didn't hit the branch. Looks ridiculous. That's amazing. Definitely a Mystery Science Theater 3000 moment. Yeah. Oh yeah, Pauline Kael in the 1970s. You're probably right. Pauline Kael, not my favorite critic, but very literate. And I recommend trying her out. I think the Library of America has a volume on Pauline Kael. One of the most famous American critics ever, for sure. Pauline Kael. So you should check her out. Yeah, nobody cares about the Depp trial. That's great. What strange viewers I have, because the whole internet seems obsessed with the Depp trial. Let me say one thing about the Depp trial. It was Johnny Depp's one of his 2 or 3 greatest performances ever. And if you watch his cross-examination, not the first one, which is pretty good, where he talks about the mega pint of wine, but the second one during the rebuttal, and he hates the lawyer, and the lawyer hates him. The one, Amber Heard's lawyer. Johnny Depp, it's an amazing performance. Now, I like this stuff because the question of, is Johnny Depp really presenting himself? How much of it is an act? How much of it is real? Is fascinating to me. Johnny Depp being a master actor, whether you like him or not, or most of his roles, okay. Master actor, though. I mean, creates characters that are all different. Were we seeing Depp was he 100% himself? Was he 80% himself? Was he 20% himself? Was it all character? I don't know. And we proved that Amber Heard is not that great at acting. She's clearly didn't win over the jury. I think everybody does not like her, doesn't believe her. But Johnny Depp won people over. But again, is it a character? I don't know. And I'm really serious when I say it's one of his 2 or 3 best performances. Clearly, it won $10.5 million. So, but the other part about the Depp trial interests me is that Me Too, is it going to die? Like, the powerful Hollywood men being taken out by Me Too. Now we're done with that. Now they are going to sue for defamation, etc. Was that just a fad, Me Too, in the last 5 years? This is a Hollywood thing, and there's a lot of movies. Now, here's where, okay, I'm going to get into another thing, people. Pardon me while I do this. You can see the influence of the Me Too movement on the, and film historians must know this. You can see the influence of Me Too on all kinds of movies. You watch the way that men are portrayed with women in movies from the last 5-6 years. It's remarkable. So I'm pulling something up here. I'm seeing if I can find it. I don't think I can. It'll take me a minute. I watched Top Gun Maverick. Okay? I recommend it only because the last hour is remarkable in terms of the flight scenes. They did amazing work with the flight stuff. You can skip the first 90 minutes of so-called character building. It's kind of average to bad in terms of that, in my opinion. Here, I'll just put it on the screen. By the way, it was kind of fun to read Letterboxd for me and to see all the young people who follow me watch the original Top Gun. And they must be 20, 25 years old, and they're watching Top Gun, which came out before they were born. And they're asking, why is this movie hyped? Like, the original Top Gun. Well, I had the same question back in about 1993. Okay, so I thought it was cool, some of it. Some of it was like, isn't this just an advertisement for the Navy? I never got the hype. I think it was okay. But then this movie comes out, and what I'm saying about Me Too, the way that Jennifer Connelly is portrayed in this, and the way that the Cruise character interacts with her, you have to think about Me Too. First of all, it's all clothing when they hook up. Second of all, it's not even a hookup scene. It's just like the most chaste thing I've ever seen in a movie between two characters who have the hots for each other. I couldn't help but think of Me Too. Like, Tom Cruise is not going to go in a scene and have relations with this hot cougar because he doesn't want to be accused of anything. That was at least in my head. I don't know if that's true, but you have to think about Me Too when you're watching this movie, and then it will go, oh, this may be why they're portraying the cougar character, the Jennifer Connelly character, in the ways that they're portraying her. She's got some power. She makes him pay for a bunch of a beer tab. She's really kind of lording it over him. She knows how to sail a boat while he doesn't. She has a lot of power in that movie, if you want to just think of raw power, whereas he's like, all he can do is fly planes, but he's subservient to her. So I find that pretty fascinating, and I wonder with the Depp trial, will this change? Don't know. Anyway. Yeah, those of you talking about Kurosawa here, I did watch High and Low again, and I was blown away by it. I'd seen it before, but the second or third viewing for me, really, really good. And of course, I when I watched High and Low, I was like, he's quoting M by Fritz Lang in here, or he's using it. And that was really interesting to me. I'm not sure that, I can't prove it, I didn't research it, but I think Kurosawa is quoting Lang. So, High and Low, and I did a video on that, which will come out in a month or two. I don't have eligibility to vote in the 2022 Sight and Sound poll. I don't even know how to get that. Quite honestly, I have not even pursued a Rotten Tomatoes designation. Maybe I should to get the credential. Then again, I don't know. I probably should get the Rotten Tomatoes credential and then can constantly trash all these movies so that we can lower their ratings and stop ratings inflation. Right? Yeah. People ask me my thoughts on many movies. I've not seen On the Silver Globe. I have seen The Northmen. I have still evolving on that movie. I think The Northmen is responding to a host of cultural issues and a host of movies. And I really kind of blown away by what it might be doing. I still don't like the movie that much as a movie, as a basic revenge story. I think that we've had 1,000 basic revenge stories in film. It has good visuals. But if you want to do like a cultural and historical analysis on the Northmen, Robert Eggers is giving middle fingers to a whole bunch of sacred cows in the modern world, in my opinion. A whole bunch. He just doesn't care, apparently, or he likes those kinds of stories. I have seen In the Mood for Love. I've rated that. I've talked about it. I have a video on it, don't I? Suggest some non-English movies that are available on Netflix. So does Netflix have many foreign/international/non-US movies? I've got a few minutes here, so let's get into that. I'm typing in what's on Netflix, foreign films, international. Okay. You know, the one I liked, and nobody seemed to like it that much, although a few people followed me on this, was it Big Bug by Junet? Oh, shoot. I don't even remember the title of this. Yeah, Big Bug. I kind of liked the movie. I thought it was kind of fun. Science fiction movie. But it's not for everybody. I'm looking at the foreign films, or the word international, whatever. I don't think foreign is that bad. But maybe other people do. So international movies. Roma is on Netflix. Yes. Now I gotta pull up Netflix's site. It's a really, I don't. Alright, here, let's pull this up. I'm sure this is all completely updated, but it's from last month, April. The best foreign films to stream on Netflix. We'll see if this is legit. I haven't seen all of these. The Artist. That won an Academy Award for Best Picture. The Artist. When you watch that, you couldn't believe that they gave a silent movie the Academy Award. I don't know these movies. That's my problem, is there's so many movies ever made. The Hand of God I loved. Yeah, Hand of God. But do any of you know any of these? I don't know the Ip Man. That sounds kind of interesting to me. I don't know the Indian movies. This is a pretty well-known movie. It's been way too long since I've seen this one. But if you look at the IMDb.com ratings, I think this is still like in the top 50 of all time. For a long time, it was in like the top 30 all time. I don't recall. Natalie Portman is that Natalie? I can't quite see. Gary Oldman's in it. I'd have to rewatch it to evaluate it. I think my memory of it is not there, but that one sounds interesting. Australia in 1825. Already I'm in. I like Australia stuff. Okja from Bongjoon. Did I get his name wrong? Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I don't know. I probably need to preview these and go through them in order to answer your question. I don't know is the answer. I find Snowpiercer to be fun and ridiculous. I didn't see Space Sweepers. I thought that looked interesting. There's so many movies. My goodness. I'd have to go through the whole list. So I'm sorry about that. I'd try to do an improvisation there. But I don't know about Netflix. It seems like things are changing there. Quality is bad. Yeah. Anyway. I'll look at this one more time. The woke culture war is kind of ridiculous. It does seem to me it is sort of destroying things. I mean, what is woke? We have to define it, but I don't know. Star Wars is kind of there. It's gotten really silly, that Star Wars stuff. So, Val Kilmer, tragic. Yeah, I mean, the Val Kilmer documentary was okay to me, and you can see what he's about. Val Kilmer is in that Top Gun movie. He's okay, but it's a throw-in scene. It's like, if you think about that scene in terms of script and plot, there is zero need for the Tom Cruise character to go see the Val Kilmer character. The only reason they're doing it is nostalgia. They're getting Val Kilmer in the movie. It makes no sense otherwise. And that's one of my problems with Top Gun Maverick. It has a lot of scenes like that. Completely unnecessary. They're only doing it for nostalgia reasons for the audience. Yeah. God, there's so many questions here. What in the world? Somebody likes Big Bug. Favorite movie soundtracks? I'd have to go through that. I really am challenged by that. The one that's always in my head, I don't know if I'm wrong about, is Uncut Gems. I love synth scores. I just love synthesizer. Maybe I'm stuck in 1982. I still love synth sounds. So, Uncut Gems well, there's other synth scores, but that one is quite good in my memory. And Vangelis, I don't know how to pronounce his name. He just died last month. Who, of course, did Blade Runner, Chariots of Fire, the very famous melody from that. He did a couple other movies that are pretty good. His score is pretty good in those. And I kind of liked him, but I like his influence. So anyway, yeah. You guys are great. I love your stuff here. Everybody should check out the comments section. The Father was the best Anthony Hopkins performance. Okay, so yeah, I have a video on The Father coming out. I think it's this month, just so you know. And I watched it with a class, The Father, so I got some ideas about it. And I observed some things that I hadn't seen the first time. So check that video out. It may help you with that too. Yeah, Tangerine Dream is peak synth. Yeah, Tangerine Dream and Vangelis. I do kind of like Tangerine Dream a little bit better. Of course, now, by the way, I was watching Rango, the animated movie. Johnny Depp voices the lizard character. Very strange and a little dark kids animated movie. I kind of liked it. And I was like, this music is pretty good. There's some musical parts in here that are really interesting. Who did this? And then I saw the end credits. Hans Zimmer. Right? So there he goes. Yep. Anyway, it's great to see all of you. I love you guys. So many people here I remember from previous comments, chats. Thanks a lot for showing up here. Happy movie watching. I'll see you next month. And have fun at the movies. Whether the new releases are any good or not, I don't know. But the old releases, there are 10,000 of them that are really fun. So thanks a lot, everybody. See you later.